Welcome. This video focuses on the keep and combine higher order function blocks. So we just finished looking at the sum block. Now we're going to look at the other two key building blocks that we have as part of the tool sprite. So just like before, we've got to import the tool sprite. And not only do you get the map block, but you get keep item such and combine with. And so these are the two that we're going to look at now. Keep item such that blank from list works a lot like the map in that we're going to specify a particular function, a particular block to apply to every item in a list. So I'm going to say apply this to every item in numbers. And what it's going to do differently is it's not going to modify any values. It's just going to either keep or drop something from our list. So let's say I say keep all the numbers such that the number is larger than 2. Now, just like specifying something for the map block, I have to make sure I get this right in the middle, and I get that gray border, so that I'm saying something like keep items such that greater than 2, blank is greater than 2, that this rule is true from copy of numbers. If I run this, 5, 3, 4. Right? Those are the values that are greater than 2. Anything that didn't make the cut, the 1 and the 2, just gets dropped. And so it's a way to kind of filter a list. Remember that the number sign, just like for map, means the position. So if I want to say, you know, I just want to keep all the things that are at location greater than 2, well, I get 3, 2, 4. Because those are the things that have a location greater than 2. If I change this to be if the location is greater than 4, well, there's only one thing that has a location greater than 4, and that's this item at 5. So the only thing I'd keep would be the 4 from the original list. If I wanted to specify the first two things, I could do that by saying that the number's got to be, the position number has to be less than 3. And I'd get just the 5 and the 1. So keep is a way to very efficiently specify, I want to keep these things. And if I want to do kind of a complex test, so say I want to just keep the even numbers from this list. Well, we've seen before that the way I can specify is something even is, does it divide evenly by 2? And the way to express does something divide evenly is to do mod and see if the answer equals 0. So if I do something like 3 mod 2, I get 1. Right? There's a remainder of 1 if I divide 2 into 3. If I have an even number like 6, the answer is 0. 2 divided to 6, take the remainder, is 0. So if I have a number, and I do the mod by 2, and the result is 0, that tells me that this is even, that whatever number I have right there is even. So 6 mod 2 equals 0, that's true. If I start with any odd number, I get 1 for the mod, and asking does it equal 0 is going to say false. So I can use this directly and say just keep the things, oops, I forgot to delete the 5 there. Keep the item such that the current item, that's what you need the blank for, is to represent the current item, divided by 2 equals 0. And the numbers for which that's true are the 2 and the 4. All right, let's go ahead and add another even number, so now there's a 10 there. 10, 2, and 4, those are the even numbers. And you can either build up an expression like this, or I could make just a block that did that. I could say number is even, and let's make this a predicate block because it reports true or false. And right, I could just kind of bundle this logic up into a new block. So I'm going to always report, does the number mod 2 equal 0? And so now I've got this number is even, and I've got to go track it down. Blank is even. That does the same basic job. It's just, the logic is buried away there, so it's a little more friendly to read. And I could use that in this keep items. A very kind of literate way of programming. Keep items such that the number is even from my list of numbers. Much more intuitive, much easier to read than looking at a loop that's going to go through and build up a new list, copy things over using an if, deciding whether or not they meet this criteria. It's a very high-level way of programming. Alright, so now for the last block, the combine with. So combine with, same idea, it's going to operate on a list. There's no way to specify which number, because the way that combine with is going to work is I give it a block, and we smush together all the things in that list using that block. And so basically it's going to take the first thing, 5, and it's going to put that in the first slot, plus the second thing, 10, and we'll get 15. It's going to take that answer and put it into the first thing, and then combine that with the third thing. So we'll get 15 plus 3 was 18. So it's going to take 18 plus 2 is 20, and then the 20 plus 4 is we should get 24. Right? This just says add up all the items. I could do, instead of plus, if I want to smash these together into just one big string of numbers, I could use join, and just smashes them together like they were text. There's a new block that the tool block brings in, which is join words, and that does the same thing as join. It just puts spaces between values. So if you're trying to turn a list into a sentence, that's kind of a nice way to do it. Basically, whatever I put in here has got to make sense to combine two things and keep a running total. So saying greater than doesn't really make sense. This is not going to do anything terribly useful, because what it's going to say is 5 greater than 10? The answer is true. Okay, so true greater than 3, that doesn't make sense. If I want to express something like, I want to get the biggest number from this, what I need to do is give it a function that always returns the bigger of two numbers. And so I've got a block like that written. Max of blank and blank. If I ask for max of 5 and 2, it says 5. If I ask for max of 5 and 12, it says 12. Right? Very simple logic, right? We've built something like this before. Takes the two numbers and just reports which one's bigger. So if I take the max of block and feed it to the combine with, we're going to take 5 and 10 and take the max of those two, which would be 10. And so then we'll look at 10 and 3, we'll take 10, and then we'll look at 10 and 2 and take 10, then we'll take 10 and 4 and keep the 10. We're always just going to end up with the largest thing. If I change this to be 31, then we'll go through and we'll think 10 is the largest until we see 31. We'll keep 31 instead of 10, and then we'll compare 31 to 2 and 31 to 4, and we'll just end up with 31. One final item we should look at is a block that has been added with the tool script to turn a sentence into a list. And so this is handy if you want to start with a piece of text and think of the words in the sentence. Let's start taking some text here. This is a simple sentence. If I run this block, it basically just takes each word and thinks of it as an item in a list, which can be handy rather than setting up a list. If I want to do something like find all the words in the sentence that have a length of 3, have a length greater than 3, what I could do is take this as the list I'm going to process and do a keep item such that, and what I want to do is express that the length of the current word, length of the current word, so that'll be my blank, is greater than 2. So I want to rip out is and a, the articles, kind of all the kind of little pointless words. A search engine tends to do something like this. All right, it wants to focus down if you type a query. It'll usually ignore the simple short words because those appear on every web page. And we end up with this simple sentence. All right, it's gone through, it's applied this rule to each item and produced a new list. If I want to turn it back into a sentence, there's the opposite block, which is take a list and turn it back into a sentence. So I could actually feed the output of that back into this list to sentence and get a new sentence that is a modified version of the old one. And we'll use this trick on a couple of the projects that you do to go from just a piece of text to a list. And you don't necessarily have to turn it back, but if you want to, you can.